And I will come near to you to judgment, and I will be a swift witness against the sorcerers, and against the adulterers, and against false swearers, and against those that oppress the hirelings in his wages, the widow and the fatherless, and that turn aside the stranger from his right, and fear not me, saith the Lord of hosts. Ye offer polluted bread upon mine altar, and ye say, wherein have we polluted thee? In that ye say, the table of the Lord is contemptible. For God shall bring every work into judgment with every secret thing, whether it be good or whether it be evil. The enemy covers his tracks with conflict. October 7th, Hamas learned that one of their king's paper doll child brides turned out to be an angry heterosexual male. I was there when it happened. I saw a sign on October 6th, but I didn't know what it meant. I had no way of knowing what they had planned. I didn't even know it had anything to do with me. Even after the fact, I had no way of connecting your bullshit insinuations. Like, there's nothing for it to stick to. All these years, they're pretending to negotiate. Corporate interim, no exit strategy. Anybody can do this. There's nothing chosen about this. Bunch of corporate faggot felons. You don't actually represent the Jews. Saudi Arabia was founded 6 years after the fall of the Ottoman Empire. Like World War I didn't count. Sigmund Freud triggered a Holocaust by going into exile after spending the banana wars shoving cocaine up virgins' noses by the gram with his boyfriends. Hitler junk-mailed the Vatican with Jew skin lampshades until they gave up and agreed that fluoride was a type of medicine. Cures bulimia, those Holocaust Jews and their girlish figure. The first thing the United Nations did was lure us into a stalemate. Then they called Charles de Gaulle a terrorist so they could protect us from France for Vietnam. Then they declared victory over Jesus with Roe v. Wade. Psalm 58 has you an enemy of David. So this served no purpose but for the Muslims. Mitochondrial Eve has been culling grade schoolers with the Stonewall, where it all began when my mother was a freshman in Catholic school, the same Catholic school where they poisoned that young lady after I joined the military. The gay mafia became anonymous in 17th century London because they don't like them either. Nobody likes them. They killed Heath Ledger. It became a revolution in Vietnam by smuggling little boys full of diamonds and heroin to the fashion industry through customs. They were not oppressed, they were suspicious, just too many of them for NYPD. Now they rape little boys in surgery and call them liars until they shoot up a school. They raped 84,000 Boy Scouts so they could ransom Teddy Roosevelt's land grants for a national fag bar. The Stonewall again. A couple years ago, after 55 years, the Supreme Court wasn't allowed to define woman. They called Charles de Gaulle a terrorist so they could protect us from France. We did not invade Libya for minting gold. We invaded them for minting gold on severe and prolonged child abuse. We were not negotiating. In 2014, a doctor ripped off insurance. In 2015, collections tried to kill me. They said your protection ran out. Joey Greco was there behind the scenes, not to my face. I tried to subpoena the hospital, but they got to the lawyer, so I had to look into it. In 2016, diplomatic immunity fled the country. Diplomatic immunity since 1992 fled the country. LA riots, New Jack City, Winter Olympics, to Jeffrey Epstein fled the country. I was born in 1980. That's a lot of cocaine for a 12-year-old news team. Corporate can't afford to broker my conversation with Israel. What's your cash on hand? What's in your slush fund? Who's your daddy? What's in your wallet? Can you hear me now? Islam pretends there's no such thing as middle management. Like, how dare you say that to the president? Satanism pretends you're speaking to them. They listen in on your private conversations, act like you're giving them wicked ideas. Either one is as capable as the other of these heresies because neither one is a real religion. Arabs claim the same ancestry of Shem as the Jews, so they're both Semites. So if it were ever an apartheid, it was never a racial apartheid. One allows democracy, the other one thinks democracy is an unruly slave rebellion to be managed and put down. I didn't know the guys pretending to negotiate while they raped 84,000 Boy Scouts were pretending to negotiate with me at the time. I would have elaborated. Had I known bloodthirsty cutthroat eunuchs and their starving slave labor in Africa, cannibal warlords call center, had I known the Somalian IT sweatshop known as Y2K was pretending to negotiate, I'd have done a much better job of negotiating. But that wouldn't have worked because there was no deal. There was never an arrangement. They just faked it for the CCTV, made it look like that guy came up and confronted me about what he did, and we shook on it. No, I didn't see a sword. I felt in no way threatened, or I had no way of knowing what he had done at the time, or I would have taken that sword and kicked it up his ass sideways. They carry a sword for Solomon's baby, so they cut the baby in half. But then when they meet him and he's twice their size, they chicken out because it's not a real religion. We're not negotiating. Corporate's tapped. They're out of money. Democracy wins. I have drafted guidelines for the objective identification of unconstitutional state media activity on the land, since the news gains more from foreign sponsorship than the market whose protections they enjoy. For future reference, no free country, no democracy, especially no Christian country, has a juvenile minor child surgical same-sex marital rape visa. Jews don't marry 6-year-olds. So you got that going for you. Moses said, to lie with a man as thou doth with a woman is an abomination, because 2 boys can't make a baby. This army of your sons was not born from that 6-year-old. You're not even in the arena, Philistine. Sure you're not more worried about the cocaine? Sure you don't want to talk about the cocaine? Blackwater, you want to see if the Mossad wants to talk about cocaine? Seeing as I never sold it once in my life. Never had a taste for this stuff. Maybe it was the nerve gas. Real Pinkertons get paid in silver, because win or lose, we ain't leaving till it's over. It's why I trust the IDF. They got skin in the game. Treasury remains solvent, or the cavalry resolves it. Why would we be negotiating with someone about our own gold? Mongo, you see that guy break his bitcoins?